Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to go through the process of dehydrating beets. I ordered extra beets with our last CSA pickup, which I might have mentioned when I did our cabbage video, but we have 5 pounds and we're going to pack it all in the dehydrator. I'll show you every step that I do in order to get the sort of fastest and most consistent, even dehydrating from the beets. It's a similar thing to what I've done before, but a little different. Beets are one of those foods that are so good for us. And with a little bit of research, you can figure out all of the nutritional benefits. I personally love eating beets. I love them just cooked. I love them pickled. I can even have them raw, thrown in smoothies. I really like beets. Now, not everybody in my house likes them or would eat them like that. So by having this beet powder, we can still get the nutritional benefits, maybe even in just a smaller amount, without having to go through and eat beets by themselves or in a dish. One thing I'll say that I know about beet powder, because this is not the first time I've done beet powder, is the flavor transfer to something like a smoothie in powdered form is a lot. So for example, when I make a big smoothie, I will put in several tablespoons of my greens powder, and it really blends in and doesn't really stand out that much compared to the other things that are in there. So the other things that I put in my smoothie still overpowers, even though there's a lot of greens packed in there. But with the beets, I have to pull back a little bit, and I can't put too much in, just a little bit more than I think I want to put in. And that beet flavor comes out, which for me is fine. But I think in terms of like trying to not sneak it in, but you know what I mean, make it less noticeable, that you have to be a little bit more cautious. So anyway, I know that a lot of different sort of health drinks and mixes have reds, like red powders, things that would include beets, pomegranates, maybe some red berries, and things like that. Anything that's red, just kind of put together into a mix. And I know that beets are a part of that because of all of their nutritional benefits. So this is a great way that we can do that for our family. So let's just get straight to the process.
Here is our 5 pounds of beets. These are so big that there are actually only 5 of them. These are easily as big as a size 1 soccer ball. I realized I should scrub them first, so I went ahead and did that. These beets are so big, and I think they are so incredibly beautiful. I'm going to shred the beets in my food processor, but in order to make that go quicker, I'm going to cut them into chunks first. From there, it will be super easy to load the hopper and get them shredded. You can shred these by hand, of course, but because I'm going to ultimately powder these beets, I'm going to choose to shred them. This will allow really good airflow as they dry down, and it won't take terribly long. Now look, beets are messy. There is no getting around that. But I will say that dealing with them raw is an easier cleanup job. Once cooked, beets tend to really stain like crazy and can be much harder to clean. So don't be afraid to do this process if you would want to give it a try, but are hesitant about the mess. I'll show you in a minute how easily my counter came clean. When it comes to getting all the beet shreds onto my dehydrator trays, I decided to use silicone liners. Honestly, I don't think it would be a bad idea to just go straight onto the metal shelves though. The shreds are big enough that they shouldn't fall through, and that would probably make the dehydrating time that much faster. Next time, I'll probably give that a try. So this is my counter after 1 pass with just a soapy rag and a quick dry. No staining. I even had some on the wall, and it came off very easily. Now we have the dried beets. They're crispy crunchy, as that is what we want. At 125 degrees, it took around 12 hours to get to this point. The trays were loaded really full, in fact a lot fuller than I have done in the past, but I really wanted to get all 5 pounds in there at once. Didn't want to have to run it a second time, so I really packed it. But if it was more of like a normal pack, it would have been even quicker. It's nice to have a high-sided container to transfer food of any kind off of the dehydrator trays. From here, it's easier to grab and transfer to jars or the blender or whatever place comes next for them. But food often falls when you're taking it off the trays, so the sides catch almost everything. And I have used a large baking sheet, and that works well too. The next step is to powder the beets. Whenever I do the powdering step, making sure the mixer container isn't too overfilled is important so that the powder can kind of dance around and get super fine. The color changes at this point when it is powdered from almost dark tea leaves to the burgundy that it stays. For the conditioning step, I'll just put it in a warm oven anywhere from 15 to maybe 60 minutes. This ensures any potential lingering moisture gets removed. Once it's cooled down from the oven, however, it often cakes up. This is normal. So either putting it back in the blender or using a sifter works really well to get it back into the powder. I prefer the sifter because it does catch any little bits that are slightly larger than the powder, and you can choose to keep these or toss those, but usually it's just a very small amount. But it does make a very fine, much finer powder, especially if you take these out. After I vacuum seal it, the powder is good for a while. We will use this within the next couple months at most. After it's powdered, we want to try prioritizing consuming it. Sometimes with powders you buy, you don't know how long they've already been in powdered form, which can degrade the nutritional quality faster. Knowing when it was made and keeping it vacuum sealed will help with this. If you don't have a vacuum sealer, you can always store them in the fridge or better yet, even the freezer. If you want to use beet powder to color things, it does an amazing job. This could be used to make a pink or a red frosting, and it would be entirely edible and actually healthy as an alternative to artificial food dyes. It also blends beautifully in water if you wanted to make some kind of red or pink drink of your own. So that's it for this one. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.